So I linked the tools that you need in the description. What you're going to do is download them, open up your Databin folder, make a new folder called DOA tool, exactly as written here. You're going to put doatool.exe and doatoolunpacker.exe along with the importer and unpacker inside this DOA tool folder. And I'm not too sure if these need to be here, but I put them here just in case, along with this. So as long as you have a DOA tool folder where your Databin is, you're just going to double click the unpacker and then just wait. Once that's done, it's going to spit out underscore out data folder. You can just close this. You can see there's a bunch of files here. You know, this is what makes up the game basically. You know, they have character files, enemy files, cutscene data, fucking item data. So in this case, we want to edit Ryu. Right now, this doesn't work for all models, right? Like, if I wanted to look up Shuriken, I can't type in Shuriken and then you find it. It's like a translated type of file or whatever. So it's like SYU. This would be the Shuriken, right? Anything with EFFPK is an effect. I'm not too sure what IE is. I think they're just separate models, or maybe it's like a totally different model. This might be, I know they have the windmill shuriken in the game. I'm not sure if it's RI or IE, but one of these is definitely the windmill shuriken. But we're just trying to edit Ryu right now. So anything with R underscore is a cutscene model. So we don't want the cutscene model. I mean, unless you're trying to edit the cutscene model as well, it's going to be a little bit extra work, but it's really up to you. We're gonna go with Ryu G. I know Ryu G is classic Ryu's outfit, so I'm gonna go back. I mean, you could put your other DOA tools folder wherever you want. I just made it like right outside the Databin folder because I like to work separate from, I guess, the main Databin folder. But you can really just put it wherever you want. As you can see, I already put the classic outfit here. Just gonna replace it because why not? So you're gonna look for the TMC to FBX NG2S, not 1S because this is for Sigma 1, and obviously not 3RE because this is for Razor's Edge. So I'm gonna open that up, drag and drop the TMC file, let it do its thing, and it's gonna spit out an FBX file. We can check in here to see that our textures have been exported as well, and to make sure that the model also exported. Just look at it in the 3D viewer before we actually import it into Blender. So it looks like everything's here, and you can just import it into Blender. I'm using 2.9. Not too sure if it works with 2.8. I know it doesn't work for 2.7 for sure, but you're just going to import. Now, before you import, some people, they don't have an issue when they keep the scale at 1, but I personally do for some reason. So I like to bring this to 100. If you have it at 1, it's going to be too small. Matter of fact, I'll show you. So I'm gonna take off image search, armature, automatic bone orientation, import FBX. You can see it's too small, right? Once you start to zoom in, it starts to disappear. You don't want that to happen. So yes, you can scale it up, but it's going to mess up the importing process. So it's better to just import with the scale at 100. When you try to import it into the game and you have it at a scale of 1 upon import into Blender, it's going to mess up the scaling in the game and you're going to have a really giant model. You don't want that. So make sure it's at 100. Again, make sure image search is off, armature, automatic bone orientation, and then import. And there's Ryu. Make sure the texture's loaded. Look at the viewport shading. So this white model, that's like an overlay sort of. That's just the blur effect model. This isn't really much of a. I mean, you could change that if you want to. Let me just hold on one second. I actually want to get rid of the collection. You don't have to. I just prefer to work with it. Gone. Import. Okay. So this white model, this is just a blur effect. Whenever you see Ryu do like a charge attack, and he lets go, there's like a white trail of himself that follows behind. You could just hide that. You don't really need it right now. So once you do that, you want to import any other model, right? You could get this from, I don't know, the internet, anywhere. You could make one. It's really up to you. But once you get your other model, you're gonna import it.
So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using the Shinobi outfit from Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1. For now, we're only going to be focusing on the head. The head uses the same material for the cowl, the headband, and the mask. So I'm just going to join that together. I'm not even going to worry about the body, only the head for now. So I'm going to align this up as best as I can. Bring it to Ryu's original head. That's pretty okay. And once we do that, we're going to go to Object, Apply, All Transforms. Actually, ignore that. Because if you notice, when we imported the model, it comes in with a rotation of 90 degrees. So we're going to undo that, and we're going to actually only apply location. This is so we could keep the rotation. Once that's done, we can hide the parts of the original model that we don't need, or at least the ones we're not trying to import. So if you notice on Ryu's head, there's actually multiple materials. Other parts of the original mesh have one material. This goes for every part of the mesh, in fact. And so we basically want to reflect that onto the mesh that we're trying to import. So we're going to do the same thing here. We can actually delete this and this. And so now the best way of doing this would be to copy the material from the original mesh. Let me see if I could find it over here. There it is. Copy the material from the original head. When you do this, you're going to notice that the textures will look a bit off. That's because we didn't apply the correct ones just yet, but I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to look for our material. There it is. Select that. Now things look a bit different here. This is good. That means that we successfully have the correct material on our mesh. Now, although I did say that you can add your own texture at the end over here, it's best to do it after you try replacing the existing textures. Otherwise, you may not be able to use things like normal or specular maps, or the game might crash because the file size is too big. You always want to try to go for existing textures before adding any new ones. So if you look here, 12.dds is actually the base color here. So we're going to replace our textures accordingly. I actually went ahead already and brought my textures into Photoshop. You can see all I'm doing here is just replacing the existing textures with the textures I want to bring into the game. Right? Actually gonna ignore this one. So yeah, I'm just replacing the original textures with the new textures. Very straightforward. So if you notice, the normal map for Ryu's head has an alpha channel. So we're going to save this one as BC3. And the reason why we're saving it as BC3 is because BC3 contains that information. I'm going to save that. You're going to see it update. And if you look at this texture does not have alpha information. So we're going to save this one as BC1. Save. You'll see it update. And this one as well, also a BC1 because it doesn't have alpha information. Save, update, perfect. Now we go back into Blender. We're going to reload our images based upon the textures that we changed. You'll see that reflects off the normal map. Let's do the same with the specular. We're going to go to image, reload, perfect. Do the same for the base color, image, reload. Now we just want to check the material to make sure that everything is plugged in correctly. Looks like it is. The next thing we want to do is transfer our weights. This is how we can get our mesh moving in game along with the skeleton. So we're going to select our old model and new model. We're going to go to weight paint and then transfer weights. You'll see that it turned all red, which is good. Can hide the original model, go to weight paint, and we're going to check our vertex groups to make sure everything is correct. Looks like it is. One more thing we have to do to ensure that this works correctly is add an armature modifier. So we select our object, go to armature, and then select armature because that is what the original skeleton is called. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this part, but I like to do it before anything just to test. We go to pose mode and try to move around Ryu's head. It should move accordingly. Now, for some unknown reason, the eyes and the face won't move. It's probably got something to do with the importer, but it'll work in game regardless. So once you're done putting the armature to the head, the next thing you want to do is rename the model. Now you can have whatever name, but you want to make sure that the numbers are equal to the same amount of the original FBX. So any of these, right? You just want to have the suffix. So in this case, the head that we deleted was actually 30_11. For now, I think I'm just going to copy the name, paste it over my head, and make sure it's 3011. Remember, the first part doesn't matter, but the 3011 does. Now, the last thing we have to do is take our model and drag it into the armature. Make sure that that's all together. We can finally export. I'm going to export as FBX. Do make sure everything is selected before you do this. I'm going to save it as Ryu tests. You can see a file here already, but I'm just going to override it. Now for our scale, we're going to leave it at 1, even though we imported it to 100, just so the game could read it properly. I'm going to make sure tangent space is on. Make sure that add leaf bones is off. This is important. Export. We're very close to finalization here. We're just going to go to our FBX to TMC, BAT. We're going to drag in our FBX, and we're going to look for our original TMC, drag that in as well. Now, it may give you some warnings here, and that's okay, as long as when you launch the game with the mod, there is nothing game breaking. You can close this, and it's going to spit out the TMC. It says repack.tmc and repack.tmcl. So then we're going to open up our importer, which should be in our Databin DOA tool folder. And we're going to take our repack and put that in. That's going to ask for a destination file ID. This file ID will be the same first number that corresponds with the file you're trying to replace. So 845 in this case, since we're replacing REU_G. This is the classic outfit. Started, it's going to say success. And so we need to do the same thing with our TMCL file. However, it's going to be a little bit different. We have to add one to whatever the previous destination file ID was. So we're going to do 846. And the reason why we do 846 is because directly after our model is the textures, aka the TMCL file. We're going to just press enter on that. It's a success. And at this point, you can just close that. Now you can just launch the game and see if your mod works. I should also mention that there is a newer method of loading mods into the game. You don't have to re-inject it back into the data bin. You can just put it into a subfolder, but it requires you to download another mod on Nexus. I'm pretty sure you could figure that out. Just switch to the classic outfit since that's what we replaced. And there it is. Looks like the method worked. Your custom mesh is now in game. It's following the skeleton. And of course, there's like a few holes there in the neck, but that can be fixed. As you build your mods, I would hope that you would weight paint it properly so that there aren't any holes. Or if it requires other meshes to cover up the holes, then use them, of course. You can do this with anything. You can do this with weapons. You can do this with objects. Like you could change this chest over here, or if you wanted to, you could even change this Muramasa statue. But it would require you to find the correct TMC and TMCL files to do so. But really, the possibilities are endless. The only thing we haven't been able to do yet is fully change animations. But otherwise, your model should work in game, and hopefully it's flawless. Now that you know how to mod this game, I hope you go out there and make some cool shit. I should also iterate that this is a re-upload. So if there's any new information that I'm not aware about, please don't hesitate to correct me on that. However, I probably won't be modding this game again anytime soon. I've moved on to other games like Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Silent Hill F, Metal Gear Solid Delta, and mostly Unreal Engine games that are coming in the foreseeable future. If you're interested in learning more, come visit the Discord. I'm always hanging out in the voice chats, helping people out where I can. I also do take commissions. I'm a little bit backed up right now, but if there's anyone who's interested in original work, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on there. I hope the video was helpful and that you got what you needed out of it. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, or just my work in general, there's a subscribe button right there. You know what to do.